Hello and welcome to the Metapod Podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. Destined Rivals has officially released. Sean, I have opened up 0 boxes and 0 packs of Destined Rivals, but I've also spent $0 on the set. So who's the real winner here? How are you doing today?
I'm good. I have opened up some packs because, Jake, I had a league challenge on Friday night.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Uh-huh.
did you get some prizes?
I won the league challenge, Jake.
Oh, you won. So you have more. So out of the 2 podcast hosts,
Uh-huh.
somebody has more points than the other person now. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, it's my second league challenge win for the season, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I won
Nice.
with, I think it's the second, but I won with Charizard a while back because Charizard's
Mhm.
crazy. But I won this one with Guardy, Big Brain Guardy.
Told you, best deck.
Yep.
Best deck.
So I did get to open a few Destined Rivals packs. I didn't pull anything, but I opened them.
Yeah, you
You know,
got them.
but yeah, I'm excited that I won though. Like I don't often win things, and usually because I play stupid, goofy decks. But I committed like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play Guardy. Just gonna only play, and I'm not gonna lie, Jake. I think the last two like tournaments, like the league challenge plus another one before that, I've just been undefeated with Guardy
Yeah.
ever since I played.
Guard because Guardy is so good.
Guardy's great, and I honestly, at this point, I keep telling people this at my locals. I'm like, I think Monkey Dory is the strongest card in format.
I do too. I think Monkey Dory is very good. But remember, with the challenge that Sean is talking about, and if you compete in a challenge before this upcoming Friday, is it this upcoming? No, 2
No, yeah,
Fridays.
2 Fridays.
Next
If you compete in a
Friday.
challenge before NAIC,
Yeah, before NAIC, it will not be Destined Rivals format. So Sean's talking about the Journey Together format, which Guardy is still pretty doggone good in that format. And I think it's going to be good in Destined Rivals, especially with. I'm curious if they play the Rockets Bomb thing. What's
with
that
Guardy.
called again? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because you play Monkey Dory, like every Monkey Dory deck should just play that card because it's a free 3 damage counters.
two.
Or 2. It's
But
still
still,
2 free damage
you
counters.
either put the
And
two.
plus it synergizes well with your Pokemon, right? With
It's
Drifloon,
true.
Screamtail. It's less energies you have to commit. I literally don't know why you wouldn't play that card in Gardevoir, except for
Um,
space.
I mean, I'll give you a counter argument real quick. I think the counter argument to it is a couple of your main attackers want damage counters on them, right?
Yes.
So in theory, it's sort of useful if you're like, I don't have enough energy to get enough damage counters on, but it's a coin flip to do it. So it's kind of hit or miss. But the other reason I don't think you necessarily want to do it, the other attackers in the deck, like Gardevoir, which attacks, you want to keep them as healthy as possible. And so oftentimes you're attaching the energy from discard to power it up, and you're using almost all of your Monkey Dory to move all of the damage off. So now that
Mhm.
you add a bomb in, the odds of you ending up with some extra damage on the Gardevoir or on your Lily's Clefairy or UEX or whatever that you didn't want there are higher because you just don't have enough Monkey Dory abilities to move all the damage off. That's, in my mind, that's the only reason that I don't know if it makes sense, because the math's pretty well right now, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
I was gonna say I don't even know what you would cut for like
That's
2
that's
copies of it.
see,
To
that's
be
the other
honest as
problem.
well, like, kinda thinking about the Gardevoir list, and in today's episode, we are gonna be talking about a ton of, Destined Rivals deck lists because now online tournaments have started happening with Destined Rivals being legal and it being on PTCGL. In preparation for NAIC, Sean and I next week we'll talk about what decks we think are going to be most successful, the sleeper picks, the bait picks, I guess you could say, and stuff like that. But today we'll just be talking about deck lists so you and everybody else can get their hands on those certain things. But if you want to talk about getting your hands on virtual cards, Pokemon TCG Pocket just put out a new set. We're not going to go over like a set list or anything like that because I don't really think Sean and I,
We
either
don't
of us,
play.
really play Pocket anymore. I actually don't even have it on my phone. anymore. It is off the phone entirely. But Extra Dimensional Crisis has released on Pokemon TCG Pocket 103 cards focusing on the Sun and Moon era. So if you're a big fan of Pocket, I know there's a ton of tournaments all the time. I know like when I was doing research for the episode today, I saw that there was a Pocket tournament going on right now, and it's like oh my gosh, I think it's ended, but there was like a 200 person Pocket tournament going on right now.
Interesting. That's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
and they happen all the time. And I see like cash tournaments as well for Pokemon Pocket. It's kind of crazy how yeah, the 256 player Pocket tournament, Frog EX Extra Dimensional Crisis, $30 in pricing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I will
So
say
really cool.
Baby Blounds is in the set, so maybe I'll come back. Not the
Looking
good
at
Baby Blounds,
the
but
looking at the results though, it looks like Giratina Darkrai is still like one of the best decks, but Guzzlord Celesteela won.
interesting. I did hear
Yeah.
somebody
Or
posted
I
somewhere
don't know
that
what that means though.
I mean somebody posted somewhere this Nihilego card, which has an ability your opponent's active takes 10 more damage from being poisoned. It has a 2 energy attack that poisons and does 30. And they said, can't wait till Pokemon TCG Pocket players realize that abilities stack.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, you can only have 2 copies of
That's
a
true.
card
But it's
in a
still like,
deck.
you do 30 and it takes an extra 10. So it does an extra 30 between turns if you have both of them out. So that's kind of gross.
Yeah, I mean, the damage can stack up. Like in Pocket when I was playing all the time, I played a lot of Wheezing, Arbok, Muck in Dark because I didn't have any EXs or whatever, and I'm not spending hundreds of dollars in Pocket. I'm just doing my little subscription and just dealing with what I have. Um, and it kind of rocked a little bit just with the poison sacking. There is a beautiful Rowlet card in this set though, and
Oh,
I will probably buy a proxy of it.
it's
So
gorgeous. I'm pulling it up on screen, Jake. It's very small on
yeah,
the screen, but
as a big Rowlet fan, this card I wish would exist. Wish I know everybody and their mother has said this since Pokemon Pocket released, but I wish they would make some sort of mini set or celebration set, and it's all these the best of Pokemon Pocket.
I think Jake put a pin in that. Put a pen in this note. Everybody listening on the Discord, everybody who's been listening to our back catalog, just put a pin in this moment right here for like 2027 when they announce the Pokemon TCG Pocket mini set. So,
I feel like it I feel like if it would happen in like 2026
yeah,
because
part of the 30th
I
year
guess I don't
celebration.
know. Yeah, and I don't know the play numbers. Like when Pocket came out and it was the first like couple months of it, we reported on like the numbers and the revenue amounts of Pokemon Pocket. I don't know what it's been like since then. It's been several months since then. I don't know what like the play rates look like, but I know these online tournaments, there's a couple of them that do really, really well in terms of number of people. Uh, so I don't
I
know. It feels like one of those things that it would be a way to get people back into Pocket to like remind people that this exists, and it would be like a marketing move basically.
I mean, I bet you that Pocket still has a decent amount of revenue. I don't know for sure. I have no evidence, but like just seeing how long Pokemon Go has gone on for and knowing that there's
Yeah.
so much less effort you need to put into Pocket relative to Go to keep it up. I
Yeah,
think
you don't have
Pocket,
to move to play
yeah.
Pocket.
No, you can just sit and you can open one pack a day and that's playing Pocket.
Yeah.
Uh Other piece of news though, let me fix my screen. We have Pokemon Center Tyranitar promo.
Mhm.
That's
Were
gonna
you
be
part of this morning?
no, no. I didn't even know about this until we started recording the pod. I have no clue about this Pokemon Center promo.
I am pretty sure this started this morning, so Monday morning, it just all of a sudden dropped. The Pokemon Center releasing this Team Rocket's Tyranitar promo. Is this the same art as the
Yes.
pre-release promo? So
Ooh,
I
I don't
is
know
it
if it's the pre-release art, but it is the same art as something from the set, I'm pretty sure.
because I'm pretty sure the Typhlosion, Ethan's Typhlosion from pre-release to the regular is
Is
the
the
same
same?
art.
It might be then,
And I
yeah.
have beef with that because when did we stop doing special arts for pre-release promos?
When
Because
we
that was
started
like
getting
the
the
best
Galaxy
part.
foil. The Galaxy
That
foil
was
or new art. Pick one, Jake.
God, I'll never be happy. But anyways, the Pokemon Center, if you want to get this Team Rocket's Tyranitar promo, first you got to get through the Pokemon Center queue. And if you do get through that and they do not announce you as a bot, you can use the promo to if you purchase $15 of items from a specific Pokemon Center category on there. So if you go on PokeBeach in their article, they have a hyperlink to the actual category there. And it's just, I'm on it right now. There's a whole bunch of variety of products. There's playmats, there's Battle Academy, which is really cool. There's like t-shirts and plushes as well. But I think a lot of them are like rocket themed deck boxes, dice boxes. So if you are looking to treat yourself for socks, you can get socks
Yo,
as well as
Jake,
part of this deal. So
this Team Rocket utility vest, I work in an area of the city that is not too far from the financial district. And let me just tell you, all the finance bros that wear these sweater vests, yo, I'm gonna be looking fly with this Team Rocket sweater vest.
yeah, like you can just get something that you find interesting. There's a wide variety of different options. And if you use the again, if you spend $15 or more on that promo, you can get it. And this promotion will last until June 30th. So I think that this is going to be like made to purchase essentially. And it is a Team Rocket Tyranitar with a Pokemon Center stamp, right? For all you collectors out there. So it's not the GameStop Scorch that we gripe on, where it's like literally just a reprint
GameStop is never
of
gonna
the
live
card.
that down. It's
No,
like,
I will never let them forget that.
I will say, if you got
Yeah,
money, there's a Team Rocket Bear Walker skateboard in here. That's I am a fan of the Bear Walker skateboards. I don't know if you can see the Mew behind me there,
yeah.
but yeah, I have several. They're amazing, really high quality, but not an ad, not sponsored. But I'm just saying, if you've got $250 to get this to get this Tyranitar, you know, skateboards are cool.
There's also stamp promos at GameStop and Best Buy, right? It's the same kind of promo as always where just spend 15 bucks to on TCG products in order to get these. But that is Team Rocket, Zapdos, and Articuno, and then more in Australia and New Zealand. Team Rocket Zapdos will be available at EB Games, and then in Southeast Asia, Team Rocket's Zapdos will also be promo as well. I think at a GameStop or just somewhere in Southeast Asia if you live out there.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know if
sure.
GameStop is in Southeast Asia. So wherever, it might be EB Games, because I do know that EB Games is a store that still exists in Australia. So
Okay, yeah.
who knows? One of those.
Anyways, if you're a collector, that's an excellent one to add in there.
Jake, are you ready to talk about what what's new, what's hot, what's winning in very early online tournaments, plus a little bit of Tricky Gyms 3K. I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
deck list from that, but we know what won and what did well. You ready to talk about that, Jake?
I am. We have 8 different archetypes that I've got listed out here that we can talk about. So let's just go through them one by one. Do you want to talk about the winner of the full grip 1K or 3K, or do you want to talk about the first one that I have on the list?
Let's talk about the first one that you have on the list, and then I can get into the winner when we talk about the other version of that deck from the other tournament.
Okay, gotcha. So one of the decks that really has been performing since the release of Destined Rivals, especially in these online tournaments, and also did pretty well in the full grip 3K, it's Raging Bolt. So this Raging Bolt list was piloted by All Out Blitzel, well-known creator at this point, has really made a name for himself in the last like 6 months, I would say, throughout IRL tournaments and also online, being a control guy. But played in a 164 person online tournament, won perfect 13 and 0. So, very good job by him. Top player difference, as you could say. But runs the typical package of Hoot Hoot, Noctowl, Teal Mask, Ogre Pawn, Raging Bolt, Rotom as usual, and some of the other key contributors in terms of support in like the Latias, the Mew, etc. Has a couple other attackers outside of the Raging Bolt in the little baby Raging Bolt and the Slitherwing. The Slitherwing, the ancient version of Volcarona, just being nice single prize attackers for the deck. And then also Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Iron Leaves EX finishing out for attacks just based on your synergy of the deck.
Yeah. I mean, I will say too, comparing this back to some of the things I watched and heard from Tricky Jim, the tournament at Full Grip Games, Raging Bolt, I think, was 4 of the top 8, maybe, or
Mhm.
4 of the top 16, something like that. There was a lot of Raging Bolt as well, doing really well. So, there's definitely something there in terms of like, hey, seems like Raging Bolt is in a good spot. I guess the question sort of is like, well, why is it in any better of a spot? Because like if you look at the deck, there's nothing new from Destined Rivals, right? It's all
Mhm.
the same. I think the biggest thing that's like helping Raging Bolt is that Marnie's Grimmsnarl is also good. And I don't know if
Yes.
it doesn't necessarily beat Marnie's Grimmsnarl. I can talk about that when we get to that deck list, but certainly having grass type Pokemon as like a way to knock out the Grimmsnarls does matter. So I think it's like a combination of like it feeds off of that, but also in general, it's just a good deck. It's not to say it wasn't a good deck before, but now it has a deck that it hits for weakness against that it maybe has like it could have a favorable matchup against.
And it also is a little bit farther than that in terms of the meta development overall. When you have Grimmsnarl that comes in and maybe shuts down Gardevoir a little bit, right? We were joking earlier about Gardevoir, best deck in format. I still think Gardevoir is a great deck in format in Destined Rivals, and we'll talk about it later and what it's kind of been looking like in the first couple days of the Destined Rivals format. But because Grimmsnarl maybe has a pretty decent matchup into something like Gardevoir, which can beat Raging Bolt, right? Because all they have to do is slap that Lily's Clefairy EX down, and all of a sudden your little one prizers are trading with the two prize Raging Bolts. Um, so if Gardevoir goes down a little bit, that means that Raging Bolt has the potential to go up because, well, yeah, you can hit for the weakness on grass with like Iron Leaves or Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, right? But you also can just one hit anything,
Yeah.
right? If you have enough energies. So the sky's the limit for it. So as the meta kind of shifts, I think it's kind of put Raging Bull in this more prime position to be more successful. And we even saw, I think it was not too long ago, the last regional or something like that. Raging Bull got second or one.
I think Raging Bolt won a regional in
Yeah,
Europe.
Raging Bull won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So,
was it Dragon Bolt? I don't know. I think it was Raging Bolt though.
I'm pretty sure Raging Bull at least made it to the finals very
Yeah.
recently in one of the regionals this past format and journey together, but I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head and I can't
I mean,
remember
I,
exactly.
I think this also just goes to show the power of like the Noctowl engine, right? Like
Mhm.
you can have a really good box type deck that can hit for weakness in a couple of matchups, can otherwise just KO anything in its path. Um, and I will say too, the baby Raging Bolt, the baby Slitherwing, and even the fan Rotom, I think really helps you fix your prize trade problem. Because I think before old Ogerpon Raging Bolt lists from like 3 or 4 months ago were just very Ogerpon Raging Bolt. There was no Noctowl engine. There was no really baby Pokemon. And the reason I didn't love the deck back then is because it was very linear, right? Like you were like two prizer, two prizer, two prizer. But if your opponent can take two prizes but only give up one on any turn, you just lose because there's no way You're just always giving
The
up 2.
trade just doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that this style of list with the baby Raging Bolt, the Slitherwing, you can sometimes sneak 2 prizes out if you're hitting for weakness with Slitherwing. You can sometimes snipe something on the bench that's really annoying with the Raging Bolt. So, like, I think this is a much more solid list. If you're looking, if you like this archetype, if you played it before, I think now's a great time to jump back in.
Yeah, especially 'cause, Iron or Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, I'm pretty sure is relatively cheap since it got put in some products, right? There's a couple different versions of Teal Mask Ogre Pawn.
Yep. There's a couple different, and
The
it has a
most
prize
expensive
pack
card
as
is like
well.
your Pheasantipity. Yeah, your
Yeah.
most expensive card is like Pheasantipity,
Yeah.
and that's it. So and you only need one of them.
True.
I
Um,
will say the, supporter line in here I thought was kinda cute, right? Obviously, you run 4 Sadas because that's the best supporter that you can run, but also running a couple different options for energy acceleration in Crispin, right? Crispin, we've talked about the last couple weeks and stuff like Dragapult and things like that, these Flareon decks,
mhm.
but moving into Raging Bolt allows you to find the 2 different energies that you may need in grass and or I'm sorry, fighting and lightning for your Raging Bolt, maybe stack some energies on, things like that, but also playing a copy of Judge in the
Yeah.
list. I really like the Judge.
It's very surprising because it does feel like, well, why don't you just play a second Iono? And it's like, well, if you're taking a lot of prizes and it's late in the game, you definitely don't want to Iono yourself to 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes it's just there's niche situations where Judge is just like a better card to play,
Yeah.
right? And even though nothing much else is really I will say I think one energy recycler, or what is that? Energy
Retrieval.
retrieval.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Wrong R word. But, energy retrieval being the only kind of energy recovery outside of Night Stretcher, I thought was really interesting, right? I would have thought that we would have seen more copies of that, but maybe with the item lock that we've got now, you're playing 11 different energies on the field. Maybe that's all you need, personally.
The other thing I'll note here, which I do think matters, is A, there's no Shaman in the list.
Yes.
So important to note. And then B, there's no Bravery Charm in this list. Also important to note, you are playing the Jamming
Mhm.
Tower, so I understand why you don't play the Bravery Charms, but Bravery Charm is oftentimes a way that things like Raging Bolt or Teal Mask, or you can basically put things out of range of something like Dragapult with its little pings or Monkey Dory. So it is a little interesting to see All Out Blitzel here foregoing those options entirely. Um, we'll see how that nets out because I do think that Monkey Dory is still the best card in format, and fixing your math, it matters. And so not having a way to like buff up a couple of your guys so your opponent can't take easy prizes is a little dicey. That's just my opinion.
It's definitely an interesting spot, and I'm excited, especially this next week in NAIC, how maybe a lot of these other online tournaments and the format kind of evolves heading into the biggest tournament before Worlds, right?
Mhm. Jake, I'm ready to talk about Marnie's Grimmsnarl. I think the more and more I've seen out of Destined Rivals play, other people playing it, etc., the more I'm convinced that this is the best deck coming out of Destined Rivals at this point.
Mhm.
It may not in the long run be the best deck, but like for this format, new decks, I think this is the best one. I think Ethan's Typhlosion, we'll talk about later. It's very close, but I think this is the best. So Jake, what are we looking at here with Marnie's Grimmsnarl? Is it a 4-4-4 line? Like what are we running?
We are running a 3-2-2 line, at least in this list of Marnie's Grimmsnarl. This was played in the Pokemon Battle Park. It's Sebastian Alloway playing this. But if you don't remember what Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX does, maybe you haven't loaded up live and played against a Marnie's Grimmsnarl, because I feel like every time I watch a Zool or something, it's Grimmsnarl. There's a Grimmsnarl deck right there. One of the more popular decks on ladder has the ability Punk Up on this stage 2 320 HP Dark Pokemon. that when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, search your deck for up to 5 basic energy cards, attach them to your Marnie's Pokemon, shuffle them back into your deck. With a 2 energy attack, right? Accelerating 5 basic dark energies can set you up so far in a game with just 1 evolution on the Pokemon, and with those 2 energies, you do 180 damage and 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So kind of like a mini Dragapult in a sense, but very easy to get going and accelerate energies comparatively to Dragapult.
Yeah, I'll also just jump ahead and say you have Spike Gym in this list, which
Mhm.
is amazing for this deck because it's a stadium that says once during each player's turn, but you know, you running whatever. You could search your deck for a Marnie's Pokemon and put it into your hand. Any Marnie's Pokemon. That can be the Impidimp, that can be the Morgrim, that can be the Grimmsnarl EX. And so with this gym, you can, if you have something like the rare candy in hand, you can use the gym, go grab the Grimmsnarl, rare candy. You don't even need an Ultra Ball. So I think that also helps this consistency. Like you compared it to Dragapult in terms of like it does a little less damage, it spreads a little less damage, but it is, I think, way easier to get going. It powers itself up. So in a funny way, I think the thing that a lot of people are trying to figure out still is the search your deck for up to 5 basic energy cards, the dark. Well, the attack
Mhm.
only needs 2, and the Marnie's Grimmsnarl only it gets and the Marnie's Grimmsnarl powers itself up whenever you evolve it. So why would you ever need to get more than 2, right? And
Well, the thing is you can power up the benched like Marnie's Impidimp, Marnie's Morgrims, things of that nature. But
but they power
also, I
themselves
find
up
it
when they
funny.
evolve.
Yeah, but sometimes you just want to get the energies out of your deck, right?
Sure.
Thinning is winning, as they say in the Pokemon trading card game. But I thought it was funny that you brought up Spikemuth and Rare Candy, right? As sort of these like consistent ways to help you get it. We're also playing in this deck, at least this version, an Arven Secret Box build. So, Secret Box allows you to grab your rare candy, allows you to grab your Spikemuth gym. So, in theory, this list playing 4 Arvins, 1 Secret Box, obviously, because it's the A spec, 2 rare candies, and 2 Spikemuths. That's like a 9 cards as outs for like various things.
Yeah.
Which is so sick. And Sean, have you seen people talk about Secret Box lately? Are you on the T
Uh,
on
I'm
Secret
not
Box?
I'm not on the T, but I do remember when it came out, Jake, I said Secret Box is broken and everybody laughed at me.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny because June 21st, 2024, it was $1 on TCG Player, and Sean, it is now, as of June 1st, a whopping $17.
Jake, we don't always get it right immediately, but we get it right eventually. That's our new
Yeah, we were
slogan.
right on. We were right on that one Pokeball reprint.
Yep.
What was that? Level Ball? We were
Yeah,
right on
level
Level
ball.
Ball, and we were right on Secret Box. So there you go. Broken clock is right twice a day. But in this package as well, you're not just running Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Obviously, with the Dark Energies, you're running a bit of a Monkey Dory
Of
package
course.
on top of that.
Best
Because
card in
why
format.
wouldn't you? But also, you're running Frostlass. Frostlass, if you do not know, is a 90 HP water stage 1 Pokemon evolving from Snorunt with the ability Freezing Shroud. During Pokemon Checkup, put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon that has an ability except for Frostlass. And so, when you have so many Pokemon in format with abilities, you really stack the damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. And with the spread of Grimmsnarl on top of that, the 30 damage sometimes feels a little bit more than 30 damage. It's really interesting because we first saw like the Monkey Dory Frostlass combo be piloted by Xander Pero
Yep.
at I can't remember what regional or what event it was a while ago, but I brought up the list on the Metapod because I thought it was sick. And so now we're back to it, but with a big giant 320 HP attacker.
Jake, I'm going to show you right now. I
Do you
have
have it built?
I have the
Oh,
Frostlass Monkey Dory deck with Maractus and Badoo. I've been playing that
where's your
recently.
Grimmsnarl?
I
Where's
don't
your
own any
Grimmsnarl?
Grimmsnarls, but. I don't have
Come on,
Grimmsnarl,
Sean.
but the Frostlass, Monkey Dory, Maractus, Badoo, it's wonderful.
Definitely a deck that a lot of people are high on in this format. And as I mentioned earlier, hitting weakness on Gardevoir, you can one hit KO
Yep.
a Gardevoir EX that is full HP, right? 310. And so really kind of helps you out in a lot of different situations. You can also attack with different one prize attackers like a Marnie's Morgrim, right? Especially if you're facing against other one prizers that the Gardevoir might throw at you.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you just finish it off with a Marnie's Morgrim that you accelerated energies on earlier for a corkscrew punch? Or you could even use if it's like a Drifloon or a Screamtail, you could just use the one energy corkscrew punch on Marnie's Impidimp for 20 damage because sometimes that's all you need to take a knockout on a Gardevoir Pokemon.
Yeah, and I also will say you don't want to underestimate the power of things like Maractus and Badoo. Like
Yeah,
everybody knows Badoo is strong, but Maractus, people are just not playing switching cards. And the
I
fact that
say it every
this
week.
the fact that this Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX is playing things like Monkey Dory and Frostlass and has space for that one of Maractus to just basically say, hey, worst case scenario, I just trap something inactive. We're going to put a bunch of damage counters all over your board for the next 3 or 4 turns. And then I'll sweep in for the kill. So there are games that I've seen where that is the win con late in the game, is to just trap something, build up the damage, and monkey dory your way to victory. So
If you do not know, Maractus has the attack corner that or does not allow the defending Pokemon to retreat. So when Sean talks about the importance of switch cards, Maractus is huge for being able to trap something in a almost like countdown deck. I feel like Frostlass could be considered like a countdown deck
100%.
for like, okay, you only have a couple turns to really figure this out, bud, or else I'm going in for the kill. And especially with stuff like TM Devolution as well in the list with the Arven package, be careful if all those damage counters stack, buddy, because guess what? If your Pokemon de-evolved, we're taking 2, 3 knockouts in a single turn.
So I wanted to mention what happened at the Full Grip Games tournament as well, because Marnie's Grimmsnarl won that event, and in the finals it beat, I believe, Raging Bolt to win. So it's
Okay.
not to say that it will always beat one way or the other, but like the interesting part about that win was the Raging Bolt player coming to the realization that like their win con is to knock out 3 Marnie's Grimmsnarls, which is fine. Like you can do that, right? But Marnie's Grimmsnarl can take 4 prize turns easily. So like those damage counters are building up on your Noctowls, on your Fan Rotoms, on your Teal Mask Ogre Pawns. You have Monkey Dory, and then Marnie's Grimmsnarl can set up some damage here, and then counter catcher, and take all 4 prizes to end the game before you have a chance to knock out a third one. And it's nice because this list, I don't think people really conceptualize it the same way, because I know I didn't. With this list, you can always have just 1 2 prize Pokemon on the field at a time. Your active Marnie's Grimmsnarl. And everything else on the bench is a single prizer. So your opponent is really disincentivized from bossing around your Marnie's Grimmsnarl. So weirdly, it forces your opponent to always go through this 320 HP Mon, because what are you going to do? Let them keep hitting you for 180? No. It's such a, like, I don't know. Having seen people play it, it is a weird deck in that, like, there's not a better way to beat it. There's not, like, a sneaky way to beat it. It's just try to kill them before they build up enough damage to just kill you.
It's crazy, and sometimes, you extend enough or extend too far that like, oh, wait, maybe you can't knock out this final 320 HP Grimmsnarl. So, especially when we talked about how I was surprised that, there's only like 2 Night Stretchers and an Energy Recycler in the list. Maybe you have a early aggressive start that you have to use with research or you don't have research in Raging Bolt, but like, you know, getting out you put away, like, some of the thingamadoodas, Sadas.
Yeah, yeah.
I could not remember her name, and I'm
Yeah,
looking right at her on
if
this
you get
professor's
Iono'd
research.
if you get Iono'd late game and whiff Sada, yeah, like, you may not have enough energy to take the knockout with whatever, but the one thing I wanna mention from the list at the Full Grip Games for Marnies that people should be considering is Energy Switch. Because I was mentioning I teed this up of, like, why would you wanna put on extra energy? And the reason is if you put on a couple of extra energy, you can play 1 or 2 energy switches to power up your Monkey Dories without wasting your attachment for turn. There was a couple of
Mhm.
games that they played where he whiffed the Monkey Dory attach, and then the following turn, he was able to get 2 Monkey Dories online with an E-switch attach. And it was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." Like, completely out of nowhere, your opponent has no idea you're gonna be able to move 60 damage, and then from nowhere, it's 60 damage, you didn't plan for it, that's the end of the game. So I just wanted to mention that the E-switch in the deck is theoretically really strong, so people should consider it.
Yeah, there's a ton of different ways that you can like mess around with this archetype. There's so much to explore within it. And that's like the first example on that. Like what are your counts? I've seen people play 3 counts of Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX with this player just playing two. You can talk about some of the other tech cards of like TM Devo or Cleffa, right? Cleffa might not be in this list of Monkey Dory and the Rockets bomb, whatever is running around in the format, but who knows?
Yeah. Um, but that's all I gotta say about Marty's Groundswell. I think it's gonna be a really strong deck. And so I don't know. I expect it to do well at NAIC, but Jake, the other deck that I know you are hyped about is Ethan's Typhlosion. So I have the list pulled up here, which also did pretty well at the tournament. But
Mhm.
just to give everybody a brief overview, it's a 4-4-3 line of the Ethan's Typhlosion, and they've decided to pick Pidgeot as the partner here. So a 2-2-2 line of Pidgeot EX, the Pidgeot that lets you search your deck for any card. But Jake, how are you feeling about this list? Is this the kind of list that you're going to run, or are you going totally off script?
So it's really interesting because Typhlosion, you can mix Typhlosion with a lot of different Pokemon. I've seen people play it with, like Charizards and Blazikins. I've seen people play it with Dragapult, right? I know that's another frequent option. I posted in the official Metapod Discord server, which link is in the description below if you want to join. I posted my list, which is just like it's literally just the Typhlosion line, and that's it
Yeah.
in there. It's a very straightforward build. But within the last couple days since posting that, I've seen this Pidgeot version get popularized. And I've been a fan of quick search Pidgeot. I like quick search Pidgeot. Being able to find anything that you want every single turn can be so valuable in so many different ways, right? So this version being Typhlosion and Pidgeot EX, you have your Koalava to be able to constantly find Ethan's adventure and be able to really get your Typhlosions online, be able to get your Ethan's adventures in the discard. But think about like having a Pidgeot on field. You have 2 Ethan's Qualavas. Maybe you already have a Ethan's Typhlosion in the active, right? You've got the 2 Qualavas. You go get 2 Ethan's adventures, right? Because Qualava's ability is to go get an Ethan's adventure. What if I just Pidgeot for an Ultra Ball? Like, and just discard the 2 Ethan's adventures. It gives you, like, so much Pidgeot allows you to have a lot of flexibility if you can get it off and put it out on the field to, like, be able to do so many different things in so many situations. You find some of those, even though in this list specifically that I brought up that the video version of the podcast, is seeing, this list plays for Arvin. So in theory, you can like find a lot of your item cards, but when you're trying to play Ethan's adventure to be able to get these energy or the Pokemon, you obviously can't play Arvin. So like, what if you Pidgeot for the tool card of TM Evo or Night Stretcher or Super Rod, Earthen Vessel, Counter Catcher, redeemable ticket? Like there's so many there's so many cool routes that you can go with like the Pidgeot line. And then on top of that, some of the other support Pokemon, you play Shaman in here because you've got a very, very important Cyndaquil, Quilava, Typhlosion, Pidgeot or Pidgeotto
Yep.
line in there. But also you play, I like playing two Victini, but this list playing one because they're fitting in the Pidgeot line. Victini has that ability of attacks used by your evolution fire Pokemon do 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So with the Buddy Blast of doing 40 plus 60 more for each Ethan's adventure card in your discard pile, you could do 290 damage, which is the exact math when you have Gravity Mountain out to KO a 320 HP Grimmsnarl
Yep.
or Dragapult EX. So um, I really like Victini, and then obviously Pheasantipity because it's one of the best cards in the game in terms of sport Pokemon right now. So obviously you slide it in. But yeah, I wanted to showcase this list and talk about this list specifically because Pidgeot I think is a really cool idea and a really cool inclusion, and I might try because I really like Pidgeot.
I think it's an interesting list for. So I was looking at this list, and my initial thought too was like, well, what? Who do you want to attack turn one going second? Right. Theoretically, you could do Call
Yeah.
for Family. It's not horrible, but it's fine. I think though that the way this deck wants to play, you have 4 Arvins. So a perfect turn is you find a Cyndaquil and a Pidgey, maybe a couple other Pokemon, but you Arvin for Secret Box. You use Secret Box to go get Artisan, TM Evo, I don't know, and maybe like a Buddy Poffin and something else, right? And an
Mhm.
Ethan's Adventure for next turn. Actually, yeah, that's perfect. Um,
Well, this is also assuming that if you're gonna go with the Buddy Poffin, you have to assume that there's a fire energy in
sure,
hand
sure,
after you Secret Box,
or
or else you would
maybe it's an
grab
Earthen Vessel.
an
So
Earthen
yeah,
Vessel instead of a Buddy.
but I think the turn one play, the perfect turn one, is that you Arvin for Secret Box, you Secret Box for Artisan, TM Evo, Earthen Vessel, Ethans. You Earthen Vessel away in Ethans, go get your fire, attach to the active, attach to TM Evo, Artisan for Shaman. Then you got like whatever you need for the next turn, and from there you basically are set for the rest of the game. So I think this is another example of where like the combination of cards is just perfect for the Arvin Secret Box play.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because like, I mean, you don't need Pidgeot because the version that I've found and toyed around with a little bit doesn't play a Pidgeot really. It's just the straight up Typhlosion. So if there's a matchup where like you really just need to focus in on the Cyndaquils and that's it, go for it. Maybe you're facing against a Frost last deck,
Mm-hmm.
Grimmsnarl. Just put in your Cyndaquils and just go in, buddy.
Yeah.
Go ham. But I will say the hardest thing about this deck is getting in the Ethan's adventures in the discard pile fast enough
Mm.
with it. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult, but with Secret Box, having to discard cards, with Ultra Ball and Earthen Vessel having to discard cards, it's not impossible, I will say. And it's definitely, if you're looking for a cheap deck to play, maybe you already owned a Secret Box, because Secret Box is $17 now. Uh, if you need a cheap deck to play, Typhlosion is my go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the cards should be crazy cheap because they were all over the
Mhm.
pre-releases. So, yeah, I think this one also could be a fun, especially if you want to play this as a pure single prize deck. I think then it maybe opens up options for you too of like, are there any basic single prize Pokemon that you can maybe weave in, or do you play it as mostly a single prize deck, but you play like one copy of Blood Moon or Soluna? I don't know. Like, I think there's a bunch of ways I think that you could probably mess with this list, catch your opponents off guard because they're gonna know one thing that you're doing, but they may not
Mhm.
know the other half of the equation. So.
Exactly, there's so many possibilities with it. I love deck building.
Moving on though, I think we're gonna go over a bunch of decks now that are not necessarily new, so we probably won't spend quite as much time on them. But looking here at Joltik Box, just sort of questioning like, okay, what's new, what changes with a new format. And Jake, I'm looking at the list right now, and I think that the Galvantula in the Joltik Box which is a grass type, importantly, I think that one gets particularly strong because
Mhm.
you all of a sudden are going to be doing 260 to that Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Um, and also they do 50 more damage to your opponent's active that has an ability. So wait, that's knockout, right?
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
you're just
Okay.
wiping the floor clean at that point.
So I think between the Galvantula and the Iron Leaves, you might have a better time against Marty's Grimmsnarl. Um, but and then you can play the Lily's Clefairy. This is like I don't know. I think this is a weird toss up for me between if you wanted to play a box style deck, do you want to
Mhm.
go with this or do you want to go with Raging Bolt? Because they're both kind of box style decks now.
I don't know if I would consider Raging Bolt a box style deck, but I see what you mean of like there's a variety of different options that you can use. Box style to me is like this is definitely a more box style version, right? You're hitting lightning weakness, you can hit grass weakness, you can hit psychic type weakness, right? On dragon Pokemon. You just go in there with the Blood Moon or Ursaluna, right, and finish the job. That I would say is more box style, whereas Raging Bolt is just like, oh, now I have one prize options now.
Okay, fair, fair, fair.
Now
But
I won't lose to one prize decks.
I suppose. I think about the format and I'm like, the only thing, and I don't want to wish this into existence, but the only thing all of these decks are missing, Jake, is a basic dark attacker. Because
Oh yeah.
I
A
like
Guzzlord.
Gardevoir. I don't want to wish that into existence, but I mean, that's like the only thing that seems to be missing. You either have dark stage 2 decks or box decks that are missing a dark attacker. I'm just now realizing that's basically the meta.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can fit a Roaring Moon, little baby Roaring
Oh.
Moon in their deck, not play enough ancient cards.
This is
Earthen Vessel's not gonna cut it. I will say this Joltik box list does play Protective Goggles. Protective Goggles, a little tool card that says the basic Pokemon this card is attached to has no weakness, is kind of nice, I feel like, for some of these different decks. You know, when you face up against like kind of weird abstract decks, you're just not going to get one hit KO traded potentially, especially when you talk about Latias EX, I think is the best example. With the
Mhm.
Latias EX, especially earlier in the game against maybe like a Grimmsnarl, you can put those protective goggles on, and now the Grimmsnarl won't one hit knockout. You'll only live with 30 HP left, and yeah, Frostlass Monkey Dory, time is a ticking, but kind of helps you out in a lot of different situations in that scenario as well.
I think that another card that is probably there for is the Slitherwing. Because you
Yeah,
look at this, right? And you have like fighting weakness on Miraidon, Pikachu, Iron Hands, Blood Moon or
little
Saluna.
baby Joltik.
Well, yeah, I think that's, I don't, but
I
also
think
Pheasantipity.
Pheasantipity is
Yeah.
also, yeah, Pheasantipity is weak to fighting.
So weirdly, like the majority of your deck, attacking wise or basic Pokemon wise that are two prizers, are actually weak to fighting. So I do think it might be in there for the Slitherwing as like a weird counterattack to like a tech card. It's all kind of funky, but yeah. Um,
It also is neat in here, especially as an Arvin build, right? Kind of once again bringing up the toolbox. You have a variety of different tools outside of protective goggles in like the EXP share, future booster, energy capsule for your iron leaves in case you started, or maybe the iron hands, right? To
yep.
be able to get free retreat, rescue board, bravery charm, and also power glass, something that we really just saw in what was it, Zorark, right? But it kind of makes sense in this one. Um, it kinda
Does
makes
it?
sense in this one because with Pikachu EX, right? Pikachu EX
I
has
suppose.
grass, lightning, and metal, and with Resolute Heart, right, it has an
Can't be
ability
knocked
that
out.
says it can't be one hit KO'd. So, you can put a Power Glass on it if you had to use Ultra Ball or Earthen Vessel or something like that, and you discarded some energies, you can recur those energies back
True.
with the power glass, especially like on the first turn of the game. And you could do that with really any Pokemon, right? Like If you especially running a Crispin build, if you just have a Maridon in the active or something that's stuck there and you have a Power Glass to it, you can accelerate that energy, and now, like, next turn, you can Crispin,
Yeah,
um, and do that. It's not necessarily, like, forcing you to have an energy attachment and to utilize an energy attachment. You can use something like Ultra Ball and get rid of the only energy in your hand on the first turn
I don't know.
or
I
something like that. It's really interesting.
it is definitely interesting. It's a fun little extra card that, like, I'm sure when it works, you will swear by it. I just
Mhm.
sometimes cards like that for me, I'm like, I don't know about this one. I don't know about
It's
this one because
probably
it's great
it's
early
probably
game.
definitely niche. It's
Yeah,
probably definitely niche.
but moving on to the last couple of decks here, some other decks that did well. We could talk about briefly. Archaludon continues to perform well. Um,
And you know what, Sean? This is the one that's playing Team Rocket's Venture Bomb,
that's the
right?
one.
And this list specifically that did well in the Pumpka Weekly, right, run by Pumpka Amy, it's not a poison package. It's not, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up because a lot of us hate the poison package. But this Archaludon playing the Rocket's Venture Bomb and the Monkey Dories, right, is debatably worse in terms of how you'll feel in the middle of a game. But I think it's a cool development because I really like Rocket's Venture Bomb and Monkey Dory together. So very cool to see it in the list, right? Archaludon has that ability of accelerating energies from the discard onto it. You play different things like Hero's Cape, Professor Turo's Scenario, as well as Carmine for an early aggressive start alongside your researches to be able to get your guys out as soon as possible. You also have Pokemon League headquarters, which is
Yeah,
really nice for stuff like Raging Bolt or something like that
Joltik
in the
box.
format. Yeah, Joltik box as well. Can't use that one energy attack on the Joltik to
Oh,
accelerate those energies
can you
everywhere.
imagine? That
Gotta
would.
have two, buddy.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine getting this down early against that Joltik box and just being like, oh man, I would be so peeved as the Joltik box
Or
player.
or Budu,
Yeah, it's
right?
great against
You have
Badu.
to commit you have to commit an energy to the Budu in order to attack with it if you don't
Yeah.
remove the stadium. So,
Stadium, low key good. I think this is a fun deck. I think this deck, I think this is a locals level deck, is my opinion. I think it is
mhm.
a really fun local level deck. And I think it's a deck that if you're locals, if you know that nobody at your locals plays Ethan's. If anybody at your locals plays Ethan's Typhlosion, pack it up. Go home. You're not doing anything today. But outside of that,
I
I
will
think it's fun.
I will say, like, in the early game, right, Ethan's has to get going to be able to one-hit KO you, right? They need 1, 2. They need 2 Ethan Cyphlosion in the discard. They have a slow start, right? Especially when you're doing Iono plays. You can also, right, use the Archaludons to accelerate the Duraludons
True.
to attack one prizer to one prizer. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's favorable by any means, but it might not be impossible
Fair.
against Ethan's Typhlosion, especially with, Rocket's Venture Bomb, Monkey Dory, and,
All I'm saying,
all that good
what does this
shenanigans.
do? Just throw in a luminous energy and play with and hit with Iron Bundle. If the defending Pokemon is an evolution, it can't attack. Boom,
Oh, that's
done.
funny.
just
That's
I'm just
actually
saying.
really funny.
I'm just saying. Nobody ever thinks about the Iron Bundle attack, but
How are you powering this up? You
look,
can
Jake.
only accelerate
Look,
to metal Pokemon.
Jake. Don't ruin this dream. Don't. Just no. Just run a bunch of e switches as well, only for the Iron Bundle. That's so dumb.
When Luminous Energy Archaludon Iron Bundle gets top aid at NAIC, you know who to say they had it first.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, low key, honestly, Iron Bundle is kind of broken if you think about a format that is heavy on Marnie's Grimmsnarl, heavy on like Gardevoir. Like, as a tech attacker, I think Iron Bundle is actually a little slept on.
You
But
need a way to you need to, like, play a Crispin build, though. I feel like Iron
yeah,
Bundle can only work with stuff like Crispin because it costs 3 energies if you do not know. It costs a water and
yeah.
2 colorless
No, it's
to be
not
able to
good.
use that attack. Yeah,
But
it's a good attack if it didn't cost 3 energies in a deck that can't accelerate to
what's
it,
oh,
you know?
Jake, what's the new the supporter that everybody in our Discord said was bad today? And something?
Oh, yeah, there's a new ends Black Bolt and White Flare a lot. I think, like, every single card in the Japanese set got revealed, and the, new SIR in, the N is so good, but I remember reading the translation of it, I don't have it off the top of my head,
You move 2
but it's
energy
like
from a bench to the active.
yeah, so you have to in Black Bolt, White Flare specifically, so after NAIC,
Mhm.
you have to use that specifically from an Archaludon onto your Iron Bundle.
Or just play ends PP up to your bench ends Zoroarks, which are just a draw engine, and then use the new ends supporter to put them onto your iron bundle. And now you can play what, the Pokemon gods intended, what Arceus intended, ends iron bundle. And there we go.
Yeah,
We're done.
ends Iron Bundle. Unofficially ends Iron Bundle. New card.
Anywho, we can move on to the last couple of decks. This one's near and dear to my heart. The question is the best deck in format. Don't argue with me. It's the truth. Gardevoir in this format, I should say, Journey Together. What does that look like post all of this? And the answer is mostly the same. You play Shaman.
Yeah,
and
you play Shaman.
and for
You
whatever
take out
reason,
one
yeah.
card you take out one card that was kinda like a tech card that you feel like you kinda needed sometimes, but you weren't sure about, right? That 60th card that was 5 different options. Well, Shaman fills in that slot now.
Yep.
It's a Shaman card.
I mean, I guess for this one, they took out Badoo and they put in Shaman.
I don't hate that because especially when you're running this list running 3 TM Evos.
Hmm.
So especially when you have like a secret box Arvin kind of list, secret box can find a tool card. Getting that TM Evo off as well as the one Buddy Poffin in the list to be able to play out, you know, a Ralts and Drifloon or something like that. And then
Yep.
evolving straight into it so then you don't have to rare candy in the next turn. I feel like with this list, you're way more focused on doing TM evolution rather than Budu item lock in the first turn.
I'm just gonna say it. I don't necessarily agree with that, only because I played a lot of Gardevoir. And yes, Marnie's Grimmsnarl is a good deck, and it's gonna hit you for weakness. But if you're
Mhm.
not item locking that Marnie's Grimmsnarl with their secret box combo, their stadium plus rare candy is way stronger than your TM evolution, whatever. So I personally, I like the slower. I'm gonna Budu you early in the game, preferably. I know that there's a ton of Monkey Dories, but you throw a Bravery Charm onto your Badoo, and then you go from there. Or you just accept the 30 damage knockout, and then guess what? Counter Catcher's live. I think that it's okay to lose your Badoos. We need to learn to let the Badoos go, Jake. So that's my opinion.
We'll see what Henry Chow does at NAIC if he plays Gardevoir or not,
That's right.
because he is the Gardevoir guy. But essentially, the list is basically the same. You know, running high
Yeah.
counts of Monkey Dory and all that jazz in a bag of chips. This list specifically also having bravery charms in there. I know sometimes with some
Big fan.
text and inclusions and stuff, bravery charm gets left out, but it's back in much more than it used to be, I feel like, prior to, I would say, like, rotation, right? So,
Uh, couple of extra deck lists here. Actually, we could spend like a minute on this one, which is I think one of the most hyped decks that you and I have come back and forth on. Like, oh, is this going to be the strongest? Is it not? I honestly, until NAIC is over, it's hard for me to make a definitive answer as to whether or not Team Rocket's Mewtwo is like explicitly good, explicitly not good. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle, but like, what do you think, Jake? We're looking at the list right now, by the way. It's a 4-4 line of the Spidops, 2 Mewtwo's, 1 Zapdos, 1 Team Rocket's Mimikyu, and 1 Team Rocket's Articuno as the Pokemon. Jake, how do you feel? Do you feel like the Rockets package is the way to go?
I think the Rockets package is a cool, fun, functional deck. It's not the best deck, it's not the worst deck, but it is a fully functional. I don't know if they'll really give it too much more to beef up with. If they do, it's gotta be like an item cards, because you need a full bench of Rockets Pokemon,
No,
pretty much because well, I
just
mean, it's not
three.
a full bench. Yeah, you need 3, but that's still a lot, of Rockets Pokemon that you need. It's most of your bench, but I do find Team Rocket Spadops to be just a really, really cool, support Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Synergizes well with Team Rocket's Mewtwo of discarding 2 energy from your benched Pokemon, so you can constantly recycle that. Has a couple different option as well, like a protection effect, prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to your basic Team Rocket's Pokemon is an ability on Team Rocket's Articuno, so can really help out your Mewtwo's and maybe Team Rocket's Zapdos, which was used in this list of Team Rocket's Mewtwo that I think got second place in this tournament that I've pulled up, the Tournament of Doom.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, got second place in the Tournament of Doom. And we've talked about the Tournament of Doom a lot. So big fans of it. With a 2 energy attack of Jamming Wing that is 2 colorless, fits perfectly with the Team Rocket's energy. Just 30 damage. You may move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their benched Pokemon. So, especially with some decks that are a little bit more finicky with energy and stuff like that, you can use that Jamming Wing to kind of stall out a little bit, move an energy over if your opponent is running low.
Hearing noises. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
so
was
I
like,
was
why did
like,
we pause?
I think it's an interesting list. I've heard people going back and forth as to whether or not the Rockets engine is the right engine because yes, you do have the transceiver, but you know, a lot of these Rockets supporter cards, like the Giovanni, is a great gust card, but I don't necessarily know if you need 4 of them. Right? That seems like a very high count. Proton, great card as you set up, not very useful after turn like 2. Um,
Mhm.
Team Rocket's Archer, also a really good card, but only playable after your Pokemon have been knocked out. So you think about like how are you drawing cards in this deck? And it's really the Ariana and the Iono and maybe Archer plus the Stadium. But I don't know if that might just be a little too situational. Because like you
Mhm.
might have a hand that's like not very usable, and you'll like, oh, I'll play the Team Rockets Ariana. Problem is, you maybe have 5 or 6 cards in hand that are not particularly usable, and so you're just drawing 2. So I do think that's where people have sort of gone, back and forth on this deck in terms of like, is the Rocket Engine worth it? In terms of the supported line.
I will say though, kind of going back to Gardevoir a little bit, I am shocked that Gardevoir is not playing Team Rocket's Mimikyu. Team Rocket's
I
Mimikyu in this deck, choose
Yeah.
one of your opponent's active Terra Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. There's so many things you can do with this, I feel like.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, it's a great. I think the Team Rockets Mimikyu is obviously great into Dragapult. It's really good into Raging Bolt. Because
Yeah.
Raging Bolt just wants you to discard energy. That's fine. I can attach a bunch of energy. I'll attach a bunch of
Sure.
energy.
Maybe
I'll
not
move
all
all.
on Mimikyu,
Well,
but
it's fine.
you
I'll
can
move the
put it
damage.
somewhere.
I'll move the damage right
Yeah.
off of Mimikyu. It's fine. But yeah, I agree that the Team Rockets. Oh, you can't do the Raging Bolt. JK, it's not a Terra Pokemon. I'm losing my mind. But
The Ogre
Dragapult,
Pawn.
the Ogre Pawn, you could theoretically do. You can hit the Pikachu EX
Yeah. You can
because
hit Pikachu EX and trade a little one prizer.
yeah, because you're going to move 2 damage onto it with Monkey. So I agree with you. I think the Team Rockets Mimikyu is worth considering in Gardevoir. I think that and Shaman. And the question becomes like, what do you take out? If you put in the Team Rockets Mimikyu, I think you should take out the Mew EX because they kind of do similar things attack wise, and they
Mhm.
both have free retreat. So I think it's just a question of whether or not you want to draw. But
Good thing
yeah,
I was playing Cleffa instead of Mew EX. I'm just kidding. I'll
hey,
go.
I mean,
I digress. I
you know,
digress. That was a
Brent
joke. That was a
Brent
joke. But
Tonneson agrees with you. I'll just say that, and he's won 2 regionals this season. So
and his deck in general has won 3, like but anyways, the Team Rocket's Mewtwo deck is really cool and I really like it. If you're a big fan of Team Rocket, right? You love Team Rocket's Pokemon. I know like Andrew Mahone, huge fan
Yep.
of Team Rocket. If you're a Team Rocket fan, this is a cool one to use, especially because 3 of the 5 Pokemon
Oh my
really in
god.
this deck are kind of notable into Team Rocket.
I just thought of something that this deck should play. Protective goggles.
Um,
Your Team Rocket's Mewtwo is
oh,
weak to
yeah.
dark. You play the goggles, and now all of a sudden you're not getting one hit KO'd by Marnie's Grimmsnarl, or like I feel like you play 2 copies of Goggle, 2 copy of Bravery Charm, and there you cover your bases.
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to like, you take out probably the Team Rocket Zapdos, right? Because that's probably one of the kind of fringe cards
Yeah.
in your deck. Maybe go down on one Team Rocket's Giovanni,
I
right?
mean,
There's 2
I'd
slots right
I'd take
there
out the
for
Articuno.
your
I'd take
you
out the
take it No,
Articuno.
I
No,
don't
you
know if
put
I'd take
in
out the Articuno, no.
if you really are set on playing Ariana, you keep it in. Otherwise, if you come up with a different package, you play Shaman. Shaman is better than Team Rocket's Articuno in this format.
Yeah, but that's one less Rockets Pokemon. You can't take out all your Rockets Pokemon.
Who
We
cares?
gotta
You
leave
have
some of
Spidops.
them
You
in.
have Mewtwo.
You got
Whatever.
Mewtwo!
You got your Mewtwo. You got your Spideys. It's fine.
You got your Spidey. Oh my god, yeah, it's Spidops. Spideys. Oh man.
And then
Oh
you hit
man, I
them
love
right
this
back.
podcast.
You give them the old 1-2 punch with Spidops and Mewtwo. Anyways,
I definitely Articuno, you do not take out Articuno. No shot. Being able
what
to protect against effective attacks
against what? Dragapult?
against Grimmsnarl, Dragapult setting up
No,
damage. If you're
no.
not putting
Effects of
Bravery
hold
Charm and
on,
you're putting the
Jake.
protective goggles on.
Reading is fundamental. Effects of damage is not an effect of an attack. It does not prevent damage. It
Oh,
prevents
you know what?
damage
You're right. There is a
counters.
little thing. Yeah, damage. Wait, does Grimmsnarl not put damage counters on? Does Grimmsnarl and
No,
Dragapult
Grimmsnarl does 30. Dragapult
it
puts
does
damage
30?
counters. Grimmsnarl does
Yeah, so
30
there you go.
damage.
Okay, I was
So you
right
stop Dragapult.
50% of the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
But like
I
that's
think that's
why
worth it,
I don't know,
especially
man.
when you got little tarantulas that'll just fall over and die before
But
you
like
even set them up.
one of your main attackers is psychic and you're not running Lily's Clefairy. What are we doing?
We're using Gemstone Mimicry on the Mimikyu or Mimicry to wipe out their benched Pokemon. What do you mean?
No, if you put Lily's Clefairy in the list, then that Team Rocket's Mimikyu kills the Dragapult and you get to wipe out the bench.
No,
You
the
get
Team Rocket's
both.
Mewtwo kills the Dragapult.
Well, no, they both do. Because you're copying the
Oh,
Dragapult's
yeah.
attack. I'm like, I'm just saying, somebody's gonna find a better version of this list that's less Team Rocket focused. And yes, it will make people who love Team Rocket sad, but it will be a better deck for it.
I'm just really wary about removing 2 Team Rockets Pokemon instead of just 1. I'm okay with 1, but like we gotta hit that 4 or more on the field, or else we literally can't play the game.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine,
Best
kid.
best of 13 mirror match between Sean and I based on our lists, and we literally just played Team Rocket's Mewtwo matches, but with either Clefairy or
Shaman.
Shaman, yeah.
Anywho, last deck list, real quick. We do have Dragapult.
Speak of the devil.
Dragapult, Dusknoir. It's back. I'm not gonna. You know what, Jake? I can't spend too much time on this. I think Dragapult as a deck, it's a good deck. I think unless Gardevoir and Lily's Clefairy goes away in the format, Dragapult's cooked. I don't know what you do with this deck right now.
I don't know if I would say cooked, but I definitely think checked. It's not going to be like Lugia levels in Silver
No.
Tempest format, where like Lugia was just by and far the best deck ever. But I still think Dragapult is like a pretty decent play, especially when you can manipulate with the Budoos and the Dusknoir package, and you run a Monkey Dory and Reset Stamp works, or I'm sorry, Unfair Stamp works 50% of the time, right? No
Crispin?
Crystal and no Crispin
This is
in
crazy.
this list specifically.
This list is crazy, Jake.
The person who played it in the Tournament of Doom, which I think did decently well, top 16 finish in the Tournament of Doom, but playing Jock, which the more I think about Jock in this format, the more I like Jock in this format, especially when you're running Dragapult, when you're running Dusknor. I've
Yeah.
even kind of thought about Jock a little bit as like a one of tech in Ethan's Typhlosion.
Yeah.
Because you can search out the Pidgeot, you can search out you have like another out to your evolution Pokemon in the Typhlosion or the Quilava. I think
Yeah.
that there's something there, potentially.
Uh, it's an interesting list. I will say that the player who got top 16 with this, you are a better player than me. I think not running any Crystal or Crispin is absolutely insane. I'm just gonna say
We
it
only do
like
manual attachments in this household.
yeah. I drive my Pokemon deck like my granddaddy manually.
Manually.
That's right.
Oh man, we are all about the jokes today and the
Any
references on this is our funniest podcast yet. 250 I don't
we're
even know what
done. We're
episode
cooked.
we're
We're
on.
cooked,
We're
Jake.
in
Anyways.
yeah, we're cooked. Anyways, it's going to be looking like an interesting format. There's so much to explore. And we didn't even get into stuff like Garchomp, right? Cynthia's Garchomp being another cool deck in here. There's a Huntail Gorbis combo that's really funny. Yan Mega
Yeah.
EX, right, is an interesting Pokemon as we talked about in our set review. There's so much to explore, and I can't wait for NAIC. But next week, we're going to be telling you a little bit about our lineup thoughts. But
Yeah.
Sean, you
I
wanted to
have
talk about something else. Yeah, 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 real
yeah.
quick
I've
at the
got
end.
one going into serious face for a second.
Yeah, no more jokes,
No more
actually,
jokes.
genuinely.
So I've been waiting a long time to say anything about this. But I 9 months ago I made a purchase of a piece of artwork for my home. It was going to be a painting of Metapod because we're all about Metapod here. Um, and the artist that I commissioned this painting from, I reached out to them. They're somewhat popular on Instagram. Their handle, I don't want people to go there and buy stuff from him, so I'm just gonna say this now. But their handle is Artlawd, LAWD. Um, I I initially made the commission. I wanted to give him plenty of time to do it. This was back in like September. Over the course of several months, I'm very patient and I'm like, okay, you just let me know when you get around to it. December rolls around. I reach out to him again. Be like, hey, I haven't heard any updates. They briefly message back and forth, but still don't give me a date that they're going to send me anything. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of funky. After December, they have completely ghosted me. I have not received any responses from this person after reaching out to them in February. And then again, reaching out to them in May. I feel like I've given them 5, 6 months now to respond in any way to my question. They don't respond to any comments that I've left on their posts either, saying, please check your DMs. And for context, I paid $650. I'm just going to tell you how much I paid. I don't care. I'm going to be fine, like personally, like do not worry about me in that respect. But I've also spent a lot of time watching shows recently. Some are trash TV like Catfish, but also watching YouTube channels like CoffeeZilla and other channels where people who end up, defrauding, scamming, whatever you want to call it, people, they don't get called out because on an individual basis, people feel embarrassed. They feel like, I don't know what I can do about this, right? And that is how those people are allowed to continue acting this way, is because people are like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I did something wrong. And to be frank, the reason I'm even talking about it here is because there really isn't a legal way for me to realistically do anything. And I say that because the legal answer would be to, take this person to like small claims court because it's only $600. It's not like nobody's doing jail time over this, right? Take him to small claims court. But in order to do that, I would have to fly to California where this person is from, go to court. And at a certain point, I'm like, well, I'm spending more money to try to get the money back. And again, that's how these types of scams end up perpetuating for a long time, is because there's not really a legal way if you're not in the same place as them. So I say all of that to say, I'm alerting any of the listeners here to the fact that this person has taken my money. And I've talked to another person who posted on Reddit just a few days ago that has had a very similar situation happen to them. They commissioned some art. they, you know, have still not received it after 4 months, and they have been blocked by this person for calling them out basically in the comments. So I fully expect this person, Artlod, to, block me if he ever hears this, and I will never get my money back. And such is the reality. I accept this, but it is very frustrating. And I'm warning any of you here, because his posts do come up on Instagram. He posts all the time. In case you see it, be very careful if you buy anything from this person. Obviously I would say don't buy anything from this person, but especially don't commission anything from this person, because he will use things like Cash App to take your money. And you will never get it back. Feels weird talking about it. I don't normally I'm not here for a witch hunt either. I'm not asking everybody here to go out and yell at him and make his life miserable. If you feel like reporting him on Instagram as a scam or fraud, that there is a button for that. I would not consider that to be harassment, because you are not threatening this person. You are simply trying to let the platform know that this person has a history of doing this thing. Whether or not that will result in anything, I don't know. But that is the extent that I would condone anyone listening to this doing anything. I don't want a witch hunt, so to speak. Also, witch hunt's a weird word. It's only a witch hunt if the person is not a witch. This person did defraud me, but I don't want anybody attacking this person in any capacity. That's my point. Anyways, Jake, I don't know. I don't know where to leave it from there. So if you have a thought, or yeah.
I don't think there's a good way to leave it. Really. I mean, we're talking about someone who's took $600 from you, on a business perspective. And so what am I going to say?
These things, I will say, these things happen. I will say, if it happened to you in any way with this person, with a different person, don't feel embarrassed. It happens to well-meaning people who think that they're doing the right thing, whatever. Don't ever feel embarrassed about that, because that is just insult to injury. I think learning to accept sometimes when it happens, knowing there may not be anything you can do, that's the only healthy way to really go about it, I think. So that would be my advice.
Yeah.
If it happened to any of you.
Just got to be wary out there, especially on the internet nowadays, because everybody is a businessman, it seems like now. And some people are good businessmen, some people are not. But anyways, the Metapod podcast will always get you the great stuff on this podcast, talking about Pokemon cards, sometimes going on small distractions, sometimes causing too many jokes, etc., etc. But we're always having a good time on here. Thank you so much for listening to the Metapod podcast, the Pokemon podcast revolves around the evolving meta. I'm Jake, that's Sean, and we'll see you next week.